Good evening and welcome. Tonight, I'd like to take you on a slow journey aboard a sleeper train, winding its way through the Swiss Alps by night. These high mountain lines were carved out more than a century ago, threading tunnels and stone viaducts through some of the steepest country in Europe, a feat of patient engineering that has changed very little since. Our train tonight is an old, dark green sleeper, its compartment windows glowing warm yellow against the deep blue dark, with snow-capped peaks rising behind and a moonlit lake set far below in the valley. Oh, and by the way, if you're tired of scrolling for ages just to find something to fall asleep to, we made an app for that. It's called Tonight. The more you listen, the more it learns the kind of stories you like. So there's always one waiting that feels right for you. Nothing to scroll, nothing to decide. Just pick your favorite voice, set a timer, and drift off. It's a free download. The link's just below this video. Before we get started, take a few moments to get cozy and comfortable. Allow your muscles to relax. Soften your shoulders. Let your hands rest. Take a deep breath in and exhale slowly. The carriage smells faintly of warm dust and old wool. Underneath, the low hum of the rails comes up through the floor. You are sitting by the window. The seat is broad and a little worn, with a small brass-edged reading lamp set into the wood panel beside you. The lamp is lit. It casts a warm yellow circle of light on the table and onto the corner of a folded newspaper someone left behind. The compartment has 6 seats, 3 on each side. You have the window. The other seats are empty for now. Outside, the evening has just turned. The valley below is still lit, but only just. The far peaks rise pale grey-blue, with the last of the sun still resting on the snow at the very top. The train has been moving for only a few minutes. This is one of the slow overnight services. It takes its time across the mountains and arrives somewhere in the south after sunrise. There is no point hurrying. The wheels find their rhythm beneath you, a long, even drumming with a small knock at every joint in the rail. You settle deeper into the seat. The window is cool to lean against. The glass is a little misted at the corner where the heat from the carriage meets the cold outside. You wipe a small, clear patch with the back of your hand, and the valley reappears. A stream runs alongside the track for a while, pale, fast water over grey stones. Then a wooden footbridge and a path leading up into the trees. The train rocks gently as it takes a curve. Your tea, in its small glass on the table, leans for a moment and rights itself. There are some things to notice in the carriage, if you like. A printed timetable in a clip beside the door. A small framed map showing the route in red, with the names of every stop and every tunnel. A folded blanket on the rack overhead, neatly tied with a strip of cotton. The blanket looks new. The map is old. The paper has gone soft at the edges where many hands have touched it. On the floor, near your feet, a small heating grill gives off a slow warmth. You can feel it through the soles of your shoes. The lamp clicks faintly, the way old wiring sometimes does. Then it settles. Beyond the window, the first houses of a small village come into view. Wooden chalets with low, deep eaves. A few of them have their lights on already. Warm squares of yellow against the slate-blue dusk. The line of the rail runs just below them. You pass the village in less than a minute. A church, a small green with a fountain, a row of geraniums in window boxes. Then it is gone again, and the valley opens out. The wheels keep their long, even rhythm. The lamp keeps its warm yellow light. The valley darkens into evening. A little farther on, the valley widens and the trees give way to open pasture. You hear cowbells before you see the cows. A slow, irregular clinking that carries up to the carriage as the train passes a low, fenced field. 3 or 4 animals, dark against the green, lifting their heads briefly as the carriage rolls by. Then the field is gone and the line bends to follow a lake. The lake is long and narrow, mountains on both sides. The water is very still. You can see the reflection of the peaks, paler and softer than the peaks themselves. A small wooden landing sits halfway along the shore. A single rowing boat is moored to it. There is no one in the boat. The boat hardly moves. You let your eyes rest on the water for a while. The train follows the curve of the shore for some miles. Now and then a small village comes down to meet the lake, a cluster of pale houses, a stone quay, a church spire painted dark green at the very top. Each one passes slowly. There is time to look properly. The light has changed since you boarded. The grey-blue of dusk has gone deeper. The peaks at the head of the lake are the last things to hold any colour, and even that is fading now. A man on a bicycle is riding along a road on the far side of the water. You can see his small, dark shape against the shore. He is not in a hurry either. In the compartment, the lamp flickers. The carriage rocks gently. Your tea steams in its glass. Beside the door, the printed timetable lists the names of the stations. You read them slowly. Each name is short and a little strange. Names from a language you do not quite speak, with double consonants and umlauts. They make a kind of music when you say them under your breath. You don't try to learn them. The train slows briefly to cross a small bridge over a stream feeding into the lake. The boards of the bridge are old, and the wheels make a different sound for a moment, a deeper, hollower note, and then return to their long, even drumming on the rails. Beyond the bridge, a small road runs up into the hills. There is a roadside shrine at the bend, a wooden box with a painted figure inside and a small bunch of flowers at the foot. You see it for only a second, and then it is gone. Some of these shrines along alpine roads are very old. Some are nearly new, built last year perhaps, by someone who wanted to add one of their own. There is no way to tell from a moving train. The lake narrows again. The far shore comes closer. A long row of poplars stands on the bank, their tops just starting to turn yellow. The train rolls on. The wheels keep their rhythm. The lake gives way at last to a small, flat plain with a single farmhouse on it. You watch the farmhouse pass. A light turns on in the upstairs window as you go by. Some time later, you walk down to the dining car. The corridor of the train is narrow. A long strip of dark red carpet runs along the floor. On one side, the compartment doors with their small, frosted windows. On the other, the long line of corridor windows, and beyond them, the mountains in the dark. You walk slowly. The train rocks now and then, and you steady yourself with a hand on the brass rail along the wall. The rail is cool. The brass has a soft sheen at the height where hands rest. 2 carriages along, the corridor opens out into the dining car. The dining car is small. 6 tables with white cotton cloths and a single tulip-shaped lamp on each. The whole carriage glows with that soft light against the black outside the windows. You take a table near the back. A waiter brings a small paper menu and sets it on the cloth. There are only a few things on it: soup, bread, a plate of cheese with pickle, a pot of tea. You order the soup and the bread. The waiter writes it down in a small notebook. He does not say much. He moves down the aisle of the dining car with the easy, slightly tilted walk of someone used to an unsteady floor. The soup comes in a deep white bowl. It is pale yellow, with a small swirl of cream on top and slices of leek. Steam rises from it in a slow column. You break the bread first. It is dark and a little dense with seeds on top. It is still warm in the middle. You eat slowly. There is no one to talk to. The other tables have 1 or 2 people at them, eating quietly, looking out at the dark or down at a book. The soup is good. You taste leek and potato and butter. Outside the window, a tunnel comes and goes. The rush of it lasts only a few seconds, a quick, low sound, then the night again. The lights of a small station slide past too quickly to read the name. After the soup, you ask for tea. The waiter brings a small metal pot and a thick glass, and a sugar lump on a saucer beside it. The tea is dark and warm. You drink it slowly. A clock on the wall of the dining car shows just before 9. The hands are simple black on a white face. The second hand moves with a small, even tick. The train slows briefly, then speeds back up. A short whistle sounds from up ahead, muffled by distance. You sit with the tea and watch the windows. There is not much to see now. Only the shape of a slope rising close to the track. The dark outline of trees. Now and then a single yellow light somewhere up on a hillside. A farm, perhaps, or a chalet. Too far away to make out, but there. When you have finished the tea, you fold the napkin and stand. The waiter nods as you go. You walk back along the corridor toward your compartment, hand on the cool brass rail, the rhythm of the wheels still turning steadily under your feet. A little after 10, the train begins to slow. You feel it first in the wheels. Their long, even drumming softens. The small knock at each rail joint comes a little farther apart. The pull of the carriage easing back. Then a few yellow lights appear outside the window. A platform light. The lit face of a station clock. A printed sign. White letters on a dark blue board with the name of a small town. The train comes to a stop with a soft pneumatic sigh from somewhere beneath the carriage. You sit forward in your seat to look out. The station is very small, a single platform with a low wooden bench under a wide-eaved canopy. A flower box at one end, geraniums still in bloom. The station building is dark, except for one window where someone is sitting at a desk, head bent over paperwork. A clock above the door says 10:10. The hands are old, painted black on a pale enamel face. The platform is empty. After a moment, a door opens further down the train and one passenger steps off. An older man with a small overnight bag in one hand and a folded coat over his arm. He walks slowly to the station building. The door closes behind him. No one gets on. The train waits. You hear the small sounds of a stopped train, the low hum of the carriage heating, the soft whir of a fan somewhere, a distant exchange of voices on the platform, too quiet to make out. Up at the front, a brief metallic clank, a door being checked. You look at the flower box. The geraniums are red. A few of them have gone to seed. The soil looks recently watered. In the lit window of the station building, the figure at the desk turns a page. A small grey cat is sitting on the bench. You hadn't noticed it before. It is looking at the train without much interest. After a moment it stands, stretches and pads off down the platform. The station name on the blue board is short, 5 letters. You try saying it to yourself and don't know how. Somewhere south of the lake. Somewhere on the long climb up toward the pass. A whistle blows from the platform, short and low. The signal that the train is ready. The pneumatic sigh again. The small jolt. The wheels begin to move. You watch the station slide backwards. The flower box, the bench, the lit window, the clock at 10:10. The platform ends. The dark begins again. The wheels find their rhythm. A little slower at first, then steadier, then the long, even drumming returns. The train climbs gently now. You can feel it. A small change in the angle of the carriage, a slightly different tone in the wheels. The grade rising under you. In the corridor outside the compartment, a guard walks past with a small electric torch in his hand. He does not look in. His footsteps fade away toward the next carriage. The compartment is quiet again. The lamp casts its warm yellow circle on the table. You settle back into the seat. Sometime after the station, the door of the compartment slides open and someone steps in. A woman, perhaps 60. A grey wool coat folded over one arm. A small canvas bag in the other hand. She nods to you in the polite way of someone who is going to share a compartment for several hours and sets her things down on the seat across from yours, 2 places along. "Good evening," she says. "Good evening," you say back. She takes off the coat and folds it carefully on the rack overhead. From the canvas bag she takes out a thermos, a paperback book with a green cover, and a small bundle of grey knitting on 2 wooden needles. These she sets on the table in front of her, in that order. Then she sits down. She looks at you only briefly, just to be polite. She does not seem to need conversation. Neither do you. For a while, you both just sit. The train carries on. The wheels keep their rhythm. After a few minutes, she opens the thermos and pours herself a small cup of something. Coffee, by the smell. She drinks it slowly, looking out at the dark window beside her. She picks up the knitting. The needles make a small, quick sound, a soft tick, and another, and another. Wool sliding through her fingers, the grey of the half-finished thing growing slowly across her lap. You watch the needles for a while. After some time, she looks up and says, "We are climbing." "Yes," you say. The pass is about another hour, maybe a little more. You nod. "It is a long climb," she says. "The line goes up in spirals inside the mountain." She says this matter-of-factly, the way one might mention the weather. Then she returns to the knitting. "You think about the spirals. You have heard of them somewhere, that the railway, in order to gain height up the steep walls of the valley, runs through long curving tunnels inside the rock, looping back on itself, climbing all the time." You don't ask. The woman does not look as though she wants to give a lecture. She is just naming what is happening. The needles continue. Tick, tick, tick. Outside you cannot see anything now. The carriage is moving along a stretch where the slope rises close to the track on one side and falls away on the other into pure darkness. Only your own reflection in the glass, the lamp, the table, the woman opposite her grey knitting, and the deeper dark beyond. She glances at the window and then back at the needles. "Once we go in," she says, "you'll feel the carriage tilt." "Thank you," you say. She nods slightly and goes back to her work. The compartment is warm. The lamp is steady. The wheels keep their rhythm. You let your head rest a little against the back of the seat. Your shoulders have softened without your noticing. Your breath has slowed. The needles tick on. Some miles later, the carriage tilts. It is a small, slow shift, the floor coming up just a degree under your right foot, your shoulder resting a little harder against the window. The wheels change their tone too, a slightly deeper note, the sound of metal on rail when the train is leaning into a long curve. Then the dark outside the window goes black. The train has entered the first of the spiral tunnels. These tunnels are old. The line through the Gotthard was opened in 1882, after years of slow, careful work. To get the railway from the lower valley up to the height of the pass, the engineers had to gain hundreds of meters in a short distance, and a straight track up that grade was impossible. So they cut long, curving tunnels deep into the mountain. Inside the rock, the train climbs in slow circles, looping back on itself. You cannot see any of this. Inside the tunnel, the window shows only a faint reflection of the compartment, doubled darkly back at you. But you can feel the climb. The carriage stays tilted. The wheels keep their slightly deeper note. The grade pulls gently at the small of your back, pressing you a little further into the seat. The train moves slowly through the curve. There is nothing to do but feel it. The woman opposite knits on. The thermos sits beside her book. The lamp throws its warm yellow circle. After a long minute, the tunnel opens out, and the carriage is on a short section of open track on a ledge cut into the mountain. There is a small viaduct and a glimpse of the valley far below. A single light somewhere down there, very small now. And then another tunnel begins. The carriage tilts again, the same direction. The wheels take up the same deeper note. Inside the rock, the train climbs another loop. You notice that you are looking down at where you were a few minutes ago. The view through the brief openings between tunnels keeps showing the same valley, the same distant lights, only a touch lower each time. There is something settling in this. The train going around and around inside the mountain. The same slow tilt. the same dark, the same brief glimpse of the valley. Then the dark again, then the tilt. You let your eyes close for a moment. Another tunnel opens out, another viaduct. The wheels click across a short bridge, a higher, lighter sound briefly, and then back to the long, even drumming. Then the tilt resumes. The mountain is enormous around you. You cannot see it, but you can feel it. The rock all around the carriage, very close. The slow circles inside the rock. The train climbs on. Between tunnels, the air at the small window vent feels a little cooler each time. The altitude rising. In the corridor outside the compartment, the heating clicks on a little harder. A small adjustment somewhere in the system. The carriage rocks gently as the wheels take another long curve. The woman's needles continue. Tick, tick, tick. You watch the brief glimpses of the valley between tunnels. A pale road far below. A single farmhouse with a light still on. The chapel roof just touched by the moon coming up now over the eastern ridge. The dark returns. The tilt resumes. The train keeps climbing. Slow, steady. The line keeps to its long, patient spiral. It is the kind of motion the body recognizes without being told. A long, slow lean. A long, slow straightening. A long, slow lean again. The wheels keep their rhythm. The mountain is all around you, slow and dark, and the train climbs up through it, one quiet loop at a time. A little farther on, the line comes out of the last spiral tunnel and runs for a while along a high shoulder of the mountain. The woman opposite lowers her knitting and looks out of the window. After a moment she says, "There, the chapel." You lean forward to see. On a small green platform of rock above a dark sweep of lake, far below, the moonlight catching just the surface of the water, stands a small white chapel. Roof of pale wood. A single short steeple. The walls washed pale in the moonlight. The train passes it slowly. 2 carriages. 3. "That one is very old," the woman says. "There is a story about it." She does not say anything more. There is a small pamphlet in a wooden rack by the compartment door, a guide to the route in 3 languages. And as the chapel slides out of view, you turn to the page where she placed her finger earlier without saying anything about it. According to local legend, the story goes like this. Long ago, before any railway came through these mountains, a young shepherd lived in a hut high above the lake. Each autumn, he brought his flock down to the valley. One year, a storm came in early. He was caught on the high ground in cold rain turning to snow and could not see the way down. He sat on a rock and waited for the weather to clear. By the second night, he had begun to think he would not see the valley again. Then, far below him on the slope, a small light appeared, yellow and steady. It came slowly up toward him. When it reached him, there was no one carrying it. Only the lamp itself, set on a small stone. He picked it up and began to walk. The lamp led him down, through the forest, across 2 streams, past places he had not known were there. By dawn he was at the door of the lowest farmhouse on the mountain. When he turned to thank the lamp, it had gone out. He carried the dark lamp home, and the next summer he built the small white chapel on the green shoulder of rock where the lamp had first appeared. Looking up from the pamphlet, you see only the dark outside now. The chapel has long since passed. The lake is gone behind a ridge. The train has begun another long, slow curve. The woman has gone back to her knitting. Outside, somewhere down in the unseen valley, a single light glows on a hillside. You watch it pass. The wheels keep their rhythm. The lamp flickers again. Some time after the chapel, the railway crosses a great viaduct. You hear it before you see it. The wheels change their sound, that hollower note again, like the small bridge over the stream much earlier, but longer this time and deeper. A long, slow drumming on a different kind of structure. The carriage seems to lift slightly, as a carriage does when it leaves the solid ground and runs out into the air. You look out the window. For a long minute there is nothing close to the train at all. The slope of the mountain has fallen away on both sides. The carriage is moving on a long, curving line of stone arches set high above a wide, black valley. You cannot see the arches themselves from the window, only the absence of slope around the carriage and the moonlight on the river far below. The river is a thin, pale ribbon. It catches the moon in patches where it widens, then disappears into the trees, then reappears further down. A small village sits in the bend of the river. From this height, the houses are very small, squares of slate roof with a few lit windows. A church spire. A road running through, lit by a single string of lamps. You watch it for a long time. It takes the train a long time to cross the viaduct at this slow speed on this long curve. These bridges through the Alps were a great work. Some of them, like the long curving viaduct on the Rhetian line, are well over 100 years old. They are made of cut limestone, dry built. No mortar, only the weight of the stones holding the arches together. The woman has set the knitting down for a moment and is watching the window too. Her face is calm. "Long bridge," she says after a while. "Yes," you say. That is all. The train continues across. The moon is full now, or nearly. Behind the viaduct, the snow on the highest peaks is pale blue against a sky that has gone, in the last hour, from black to a very deep, starry midnight hue. You count 3 lights in the small village below before the angle changes and you cannot see it anymore. The viaduct ends. The wheels return to their ordinary tone. The carriage settles back to the ordinary rocking of a train on solid ground. The compartment goes quiet again. The woman picks up her knitting. You let your hands come to rest in your lap. You take a deep breath. The air in the compartment feels good. Warm, but not stuffy. The train carries on along the side of the next mountain. The line bends to follow the contour. The wheels keep their long, even drumming. You let your head rest against the seat back. The lamp glows. A little farther on, the line enters the great tunnel. You feel the air change first. A small pressure on your ears as the carriage moves through the portal. Then the sound of the wheels deepens, the way it did in the spiral tunnels. But this time, the deeper note does not stop. Outside the window, only black. This is the long one. The tunnel that goes straight through the mountain at the top of the pass, instead of climbing up over it. The original Gotthard tunnel was bored through the rock in the 1870s and opened to trains in 1882. It is more than 15 kilometers long. At the slow pace of an overnight train, it takes some time to pass through. You cannot see anything outside the window. Only the reflection of the compartment doubled darkly back at you. The lamp, the table, the woman opposite with her knitting, the small glass of water near your hand. The inside of the carriage feels closer in the tunnel. The sound of the wheels has become a steady, enveloping hum. There is nothing else. The woman knits. You sit with your hands in your lap. The train moves on through the rock. You think vaguely of the mountain above. Thousands of meters of stone with a single thin line cut through the middle of it. Snow up at the top somewhere. A few small lakes. Pastures that are empty at this hour. The thought does not stay long. It is a peaceful thought. The carriage rocks gently. The wheels keep their steady hum. A minute passes. Then another. The tunnel does not end. You become aware slowly that you have stopped thinking about much at all. The mind has gone with the train into a long, quiet passage without much to notice. The lamp, the hum, the small movements of the wool through the needles. The woman finishes a row, turns the knitting, and starts the next. You watch the needles, entranced by their steady clicking and clacking. After a while, you become aware that the small heating grill at your feet has been running steadily for some time. The warmth has reached up through the floor, through the wood panels, into the seat. You can feel it in your back. Your eyes drift to the lamp. The lamp is steady. You look at the warm yellow circle of light on the table. The edge of the table is dark wood, slightly worn at the corners. There is a small ring on the wood where a glass once sat too long. Someone wiped it, but the ring did not quite come out. The wheels hum on. The carriage rocks gently. The tunnel does not end. You let your eyes close for a moment. Not to sleep, just to rest them. The warm yellow of the lamp is still visible through your eyelids, a soft glow. You open them again slowly. The compartment is just as it was. The woman knits. The lamp glows. The wheels hum. Some time later, you do not quite know how long, the sound of the wheels changes again. The deeper note thins. The pressure in your ears eases. The window, which was pure black, begins to show something faintly outside. The train has come out the other side. On the southern side of the mountain, the air smells different. You notice it even inside the carriage when the train slows briefly at a small junction and someone opens a door further down the corridor. A small breath of the new air comes in, cooler than the tunnel, but somehow gentler, with something green in it. A trace of cypress. A trace of stone warmed all day by the sun and only just letting the warmth go. The door closes. The train rolls on. You are on the south side of the pass now, the Italian-speaking side. The houses you begin to see in the moonlight are different. Lower roofs, pale stone walls, vines on wooden frames along the sides of the buildings. Small kitchen gardens with neat rows of vegetables just visible in the dark. The line begins to descend. You feel the carriage tilt the other way now. A small forward lean, the seat pressing lightly against the back of your legs. The wheels take on a slightly different note, a touch lighter. The train held back at every long curve by its own brakes. It is a slow, patient descent. The valley on this side is broader. Vines on the lower slopes. Olive trees here and there. Stone villages set into the hillsides with church towers and the occasional dark line of cypress. A few of the windows are still lit. Most are dark. The moon has come round to the western side of the sky now. It lights the river that runs along the bottom of the valley, pale and slow. The woman opposite has put her knitting away. She has folded the grey wool back into the canvas bag, closed the thermos, and set the book on top. Her hands are resting in her lap. Her eyes are closed. You do not disturb her. The train slows for a small station, does not stop, and goes on. The sign on the platform is in Italian now, a name with 3 short words. You read it without trying to remember it. A little farther on, the line crosses another stone bridge. Shorter this time. The hollower note again, briefly, then back to the ordinary drumming. You look out at the valley. There is a small chapel on a hillside with a single light burning at its door. There is a long stone wall along a road with a goat tethered at the end of it, asleep on its feet. There is a vineyard with the leaves just turning. These pass slowly, one by one. The train carries on down the valley. You feel somewhere in your body that it is late in the night. You'll need to lie down soon. Your shoulders slump. Your hands in your lap are heavy. Your eyes blink slowly, fighting back sleep. There is no hurry to stand. The compartment is warm and lit. The wheels keep their rhythm. The valley keeps unfolding outside. But after a while you stand quietly and lift down the folded blanket from the rack overhead. The blanket is heavy and warm. You undo the strip of cotton and unfold it across your lap. It smells faintly of wool and of clean linen. You settle back into the seat. The lamp casts its warm yellow circle on the table. The train rolls on into the southern valley. Some time later, you do not quite know when, you move from the seat to the small sleeper berth at the end of the carriage. The corridor is dim. The compartment lights have been turned down for the night. Only the small floor-level safety lamps glow along the carpet, a soft yellow at ankle height. The brass rail along the wall is still cool to the touch. The sleeper compartment is small and very warm. A single narrow bunk along one wall, made up with a pale cotton sheet, a thin wool blanket, and a single pillow. A reading lamp set into the wall above the pillow. A small mesh shelf for your watch, and a glass of water already filled for you on a fold-down shelf. You sit on the edge of the bunk. The mattress is firm and even. You take off your shoes. You set them under the foot of the bunk, side by side, the way one does on a train. You lie down. The pillow is soft. The blanket is heavy and warm. Your feet find a corner of the mattress that has held the day's warmth from somewhere. A heating pipe in the wall, perhaps, and settle into it. The reading lamp above your head is on. You reach up and turn it down to its lowest setting. A small, warm, orange glow. Just enough to see by. Outside the small sleeper window, the southern valley keeps passing. Slowly, slowly. The dark shape of a hill, the silver line of a river, a single yellow light far off on a slope. The wheels keep their long, even drumming. You can feel the rhythm coming up through the mattress, through the pillow, through the small of your back. You let your eyes close. The reading lamp glows softly. The wheels go on. There is a faint sound somewhere of the wind moving along the side of the carriage. A soft, low pull of air. Then nothing. The train rocks gently on its slow descent. Your breath has gone deep and slow. You think only a little about the chapel above the lake, the small white walls, the single light somewhere on a slope. You do not finish the thought. The wheels go on. Some time passes. You are not sure how much. The lamp dims a little more on its own, the way old wiring sometimes does. Then settles. The blanket is warm. The mattress is steady. The valley keeps passing. Slowly. Slowly. Outside the small, dark window. You reach up and turn the reading lamp off. The compartment goes dim. Only the faintest line of pale moonlight at the edge of the window blind. You settle deeper under the blanket. The wheels keep their long, even rhythm beneath you. A small knock at every rail joint. A long, even drumming between. Soft and slow and steady. Just the wheels. Just the rhythm. Just the long, quiet journey through the mountains. The train rolls on into the night.